Legend tells of a hidden cache full of perfectly preserved video games. These artifacts, are important milestones to mark our cultural evolution over the centuries. They mark where we've been and, when given the right approach, can help guide our future as a species. Fragmented and corroded artifacts can guide our understanding, but only the artifacts unweathered by time and uncorrupted by ignorant handling can put us in the bodies of our ancestors, can teach us what they knew, how they lived, and yes, how they played. Creatures. For centuries, the idea that there existed a collection of perfectly pristine video games hidden away for some future adventurer to uncover was considered just the crazed ramblings of a madman.
Where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh, that's easier.
To think that video game publishers care about archiving the culture they helped create. But I'm here to tell you, such a collection does exist. For the last 2.5 months, I've been AFK, searching for this legendary cache.
Finally, I found the video game repository. The place where long-forgotten games have been preserved so that future generations, my generation, can understand the art and culture of past civilizations. At last, every video game will be honored as a critical step in the attainment of human perfection. Oh, but not this one.
So what does it mean to preserve video games? Why is video games preservation important? And are all video games equally worthy of preservation? If you're watching this video, then you probably already agree that video games are important. If you're only listening to this video, then maybe that's because you're busy playing a video game, which in terms of importance is more so than this video, so good job. Now, if you're not watching this video or listening to this video, then that means I'm in your head right now and your nose is really itchy. Really itchy. Think about how itchy your nose is. Yeah, you can feel a little hair maybe on the inside of your nostril. You just want to scratch it. Come on, scratch that itch. Did that work? Yeah, tell me in the comments below if you scratched your nose just now. I dream of becoming a face magician. Video game preservation, as I see it, means simply to ensure that games remain accessible and playable in as close to their original retail form as possible. Sure, the retail qualifier might seem too restrictive. What about documents regarding unreleased games? Aren't those important? Yes, but that's outside the scope of this video and outside the scope of this brain. Now, I highly recommend a game preservation podcast like Video Game History Hour if you'd like a more nuanced perspective of game preservation. Or you can ask your hunter friend to open that deep freeze in his garage for a look into game preservation. Or you could scrub through this very YouTube channel for lame preservation. Yeah, I'll prove it. Now rewind that clip. Or you can ask your hunter friend to open that deep freeze in his garage for a look into game preservation. Still as minty and unwelcomed as the moment I said it. For this video, I kinda just want to break down the idea of preservation for a few minutes, because that's the kind of answerless meandering I do on this channel. It's play games, think games, not solve games. So why is there even any hesitancy about preserving video games? It seems like objectively the right thing to do, right? Well, for consumers, yes, preservation is objectively good. For the companies that stand to make money by restricting access from an entire generation of players until those players are old enough to have both disposable income and the nostalgia to rip that income from their wallets when the new Super Mario 3D collection comes out, no. Simply put, in most cases, making video games accessible to everyone at all times isn't as profitable as careful supply restriction. Absence makes the heart grow fonder and the wallet looser. And this is sad, of course, that profit takes priority over the user experience, and that's what in access to video games is, a user experience issue. User experience isn't about just playing the game or understanding the console. User experience maps the entire customer journey of choosing the product, learning to use the product, using the product, fixing the product, and absolutely acquiring the product. Companies that pull their product from store shelves without giving the public at least some way to still experience that product are anti-consumer. And I get that profits are important. I'm not arguing against that. But what companies need to do is be transparent about their preservation efforts. If, for example, Sony decides to remove the digital-only exclusive Rezo gun from their store, that removal should come with a statement about their preservation plans. Maybe they press a few copies to disc and give them to video game archive foundations and museums to hold, while also providing a timeline for when the game can be released to the public for free. I mean, that's functionally what public domain law does now, but games haven't really been around long enough to be part of the public domain conversation, so consumers are left in a mysterious limbo full of assumptions and wonder, which breeds fear and illegal image ripping and emulation. But even pressing a game to a disc isn't permanent, and neither the physical nor the digital format is perfect. Everything you love, whether physical or digital, is breaking down as we speak, as I speak. I mean, you're probably not talking to the screen right now.
That would be absurd.
The debate between physical and digital preservation, I think, isn't so much about the format itself, but about who controls the format. Physical goods can be cared for as much as the owner chooses to care for it. Now, you slap that copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 into a drool-proof plastic case, and in 300 years, when all of Google's servers have been destroyed by fallen debris from billionaire rocket failures, some assembly language historian could probably find a way to rip the game from the cartridge ROM. The physical product is substantial enough to survive those many years intact, and that's great. You know, thank God Rick decided to protect his copy of Super Mario Bros. 3, but should that single copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 also bear the crushing weight of a penis-shaped rocket's dropped ball, then poof, no more Super Mario Bros. 3. That's bad. Physical isn't perfect. With the digital format, theoretically, infinite copies of Super Mario Bros. 3 exist, so even once those Google servers are gone, there's probably a few personal computers with ROMs on their hard drives, and those computers could act as the new Eden to repopulate the world in COD's image. And this is good. However, the digital format is today still largely controlled by for-profit companies, not by individuals. And this is bad. Right now, accessing the digital-only exclusive Rezo gun is easy, but as soon as Sony decides not to offer it any longer, then we no longer have it. At least not without a dedicated group of heroes willing to rip the images from the console somehow, and then build emulators to play them. But that's illegal, and my belief is that we shouldn't have to resort to illegal means simply to help ensure that our descendants learn from the past. But for those of us individuals who understand the importance of game preservation, sometimes laws must be broken.
I understand what you're saying.
The digital-only future is inevitable, and I don't have faith that game publishers will print discs of discontinued games for posterity. And while I love the convenience of the digital format, a digital-only future does mean the disappearance of accidental preservation. You know, like when your grandma stuffed a bunch of worthless video games in her attic in 1987 because she was too lazy to walk all the way to the trash can in the garage, only for those games to be found by her granddaughter in 2000, thus accidentally sparking passion in an entirely new generation, thereby adding another soldier to the war for preservation. Or like when Pompeii erupted ash all over those Romans, having no idea that those corpses would be worth so much in the future. Thanks, Pompeii. Accessing a dead grandparent's attic is much easier than accessing a dead grandparent's Steam or Google account. We can't count on lazy old people or ancient volcanoes to do the preservation dirty work. So, what can just the average, ill-equipped simpleton like Bryant Chappelle hope? What can a person like he or me hope to do to contribute to game preservation? Well, keeping physical games safe is good. If you have ROMs or disk images, back them up on multiple drives that are accessible without a password. And believe it or not, make videos for YouTube about your gaming experiences. Preservation isn't just about the artifact itself, it's also about the stories of the artifact. You know, talk about the games you play, record game footage even if you don't plan to do anything with that footage. Then make that footage publicly available online. I actually have a secondary YouTube channel that's used for this very purpose. And a small piece of advice, don't try to curate your preservation. You know, the current you right now won't be able to discern what the future will consider interesting or worthy of preservation. You know, that's not your burden. Even failed art should be preserved. Consider all of the fine art you see in museums. You know, we consider those pieces the best of the best, but the best of the best isn't an accurate reflection of a culture. You know, where's the first draft of the Mona Lisa, huh? Where's the prototype of the Statue of David when he had a serviceable dong? Surely, in the 1500s, there was a kid who tried really, really hard to make art, and sure, his parents supported him, but behind his back, they scrambled to divert his attention to more appropriate means of expression, like cleaning horse stables or digging graves for bubonic plague corpses. You know, I want to see that kid's stick figure unicorn. That's the culture that needs saving. What are your thoughts on game preservation? Are you worried about games we love today being lost to time, or are you not worried because you care about having fun now? That's valid. And while you're down there commenting away, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to this channel. Now, if you're still watching this video, you obviously like it, right? So it only makes sense to subscribe.